See this? That right there? That is road salt. It's all over the place. There's little bits of it everywhere. Now, in climates like mine, here on the east coast of Canada, road salt is used to pretty great effect to combat ice buildup on the roads during freezing rain and snow events. And the reason why that works is the salt solution that's created by mixing water and salt has a significantly lower freezing temperature than what just regular old water does. So the salt solution that's being created by the salt going down on the roads before the snow or rain falls has a lower freezing temperature than what just regular water without any salt on the roads would, which means it can stay liquid for longer and hopefully drain off of the roads into the storm drains and keep roads clear without building up huge layers of ice. And that's a good thing. But there is a trade-off, and it can be a nasty one. The resulting salty solution that's just sort of hanging out on the road, well, it has this real nasty tendency to help out with accelerating a little known chemical reaction called oxidation, or as some of us like to refer to it as, rusting. Disgusting. In 4 days, my giant STP and my BMX are going to be hanging off the back of a 4Runner for 20 hours on the way to Ontario, getting absolutely peppered by salt water solution the entire way. And I, being the lack of maintenance king that I am today, would like to turn a new leaf and try and just protect what I can, even if it's just a little bit. Come along, will ya? Come on. Oh, and by the way, I put the pre-order of the new school and the old school stickers up. They are live right now at the link below, spindatt.com. The sales of these stickers, they're pre-order right now. They're basically what is funding this trip. You guys are the sponsor of my Joyride 150 trip. Thank you very much. And keep in mind, the first 50 of you who order the new school stickers, you get a limited, very limited edition Gear Gab sticker. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
I'm going to start with the dirt jumper.
The STP should just be the easier of the two to deal with and protect because it's an aluminum frame. There's less steel on this thing overall to deal with and try and protect from oxidation. So really when it comes to the dirt jumper, it's more of a clean and refresh of all the spots where you would normally have grease. I'm gonna clean out all the old stuff that's in there and put some thicker, more stubborn, like stickier grease, just so that I know it's gonna stay in place and not wash away from any sort of water coming in and trying to take it away. My main areas of focus on this bike are basically the headset, the front axle, I'll just give it some new grease, and then just freshen up the crank spindle, clean it up, put some thicker, more stubborn grease on it as well. Otherwise, clean this thing and it should be good. Should be. Actually, that's kind of funny. I put the seat up and immediately realized that the bolt for the seat post clamp is also a little crunchy because it's getting a little rusty from road salt. And the seat post is getting a little bit, it also shouldn't be this dry. It's good to do this stuff every so often. Yeah, see, this has that like gray, really sticky, like once you get this on you, it's kind of there forever. I like it for that. It's just messy. And actually the Halo wide boy hub has some pretty great end caps that go in nice and deep and cover off the bearing and kind of hide it from the elements really well. So I'm not concerned about the front wheel or the hub at all. I'm gonna clean this a little bit, put a little more grease on it, but definitely not an area of major concern. I would very much go as far as to say as this is my least favorite bike to pull the stem and fork like off of, just purely because of the way the brake hose is routed. If you lose the way it's routed, it just gets a little bit annoying trying to get back to where it was, but that's okay. We'll get through this together. See how all the grit and everything gets in right into that bearing race? That's why I want to clear it all out and put some new grease in there so it can hopefully deal with any of the road salt that comes in. But this is not bad. This is the same grease that I'm gonna put in. It holds its own pretty good. I can't remember if when I put the pike on this bike, I feel like I'm still using the same bearings that were always in this bike. There's no way that I went out of my way to buy new ones. It doesn't sound like me. And after owning this thing for 2 years, having it on the back of the car in many, many rainstorms, riding it in many rainstorms, and endless nights at the Mount Edwards dirt jumps, both the top and lower bearing are still in just absolutely like new shape. Love that. I can't help but feel like a big part of it is just doing this every so often to try and make sure nothing gets into the bearing races at all. It's like a really cheap, easy way to avoid getting that really crunchy indexed headset problem. So you can see there's a little bit of corrosion starting on the outer race of this guy. Not that I'm concerned about it, but it does happen. If you can just keep it clean, put new grease in it, you can kind of keep a lot of that stuff at bay for a lot longer. Which is just advice that I should be taking myself, but I'm not. But in this video, it seems like I do it all the time. Anyway, I really do like the Park Tool, like the green Park Tool grease, but for this case, I just use this like AMSOIL, heavy duty, off-road, like all the things that make it seem like it would deal with salt and grit and all that disgusting stuff really well. I use this grease just because it's so stubborn. It's so thick, and it kind of just doesn't get affected by, like if you try and rub it away, it doesn't really go anywhere. So for this case where I'm trying to protect it from just being pelted with salt water for 20 hours straight, I kind of want more protection than I do like thin, nice performing grease. I just want no rust. So that's where this stuff comes in. Okay, headset, front axle, good. I think they were okay to begin with, but it's just good peace of mind to open it up, see what it's like. I'm gonna do the threads of the pedals, I think, and then spindle. This is the seat post clamp bolt. It's starting to rust, so I'd like to treat it to a little bit of protection. A little bit of this grease on the threads, so it's protected from any sort of outside elements. And then maybe in the head, I'll just put a little bit of rust check. That should keep that protected for a while, so it doesn't just like turn to dust. I'm actually just gonna hit the stem bolts with a little bit of rust check as well. It doesn't need a ton, because then it just gets everywhere. It's just something, anything to help it last. Okay, sweet. Okay, I think this one's as good as it's gonna get. There's not really anything else I can do to protect it more other than we rent an RV and keep all the bikes inside, which I don't think is going to happen. Now, I'm basically going to do the exact same thing with my BMX, except because my BMX is steel everywhere, when I open it up, I'm actually going to spray some of the rust check into some of the access holes to get into these tubes and everything so that it's protected. And if anything does get into it, hopefully it has a fighting chance of not rusting from the inside out. Greasing a headset, pretty repetitive, not going to show you that again. Rust checking the inside of a frame. I've done this in the past. I've showed you how I do it, but typically all I am really doing is taking this can of rust check, which is supposed to be a rust inhibitor, opening up the frame at a couple spots, i.e. taking the fork out or pulling the seat post out, and just getting the straw into where all the tubes are meeting. Generally, there's like a relief hole, and giving it just a little, not too much. You don't want to put too much in there because honestly, I used to spray quite a lot in here, but I think a little bit goes a long way. I used to put a lot in, it used to just seep out of all the little there's little heat relief holes everywhere, and you don't really want it seeping out because then it gets on your tires or your brakes, and that's no bueno. You don't want that. So just a little bit. I think it probably sprays out enough that it's giving the protection that you're kind of looking for without it just being a soaking wet mess in there. That's it. That's good. And if you don't want to take your fork out, a lot of times the bolts for your bottle cages, they will access the down tube. I actually have some holes here that I can get some rust check in as well. So you really don't have to dismantle the bike that much to get the inside of the frame treated with some sort of rust inhibitor. It is good peace of mind. I like knowing that the inside of the frame has something in it helping keep it from rotting from the inside out. Especially because a lot of these holes are just open all the time, so you know water's getting in. So I don't know. I guess maybe it's just something that makes me feel better. I think we're good. So did the stem bolts and the other hardware on the BMX as well. They both got the same treatment. Probably the only thing missing is I currently do not own chain lube right now. So there should be some wet chain lube on both of these to protect the chain and the drivetrain a little bit. Anyway, I'll grab some and put it on before the bikes make it onto the bike rack. But hopefully, I'm really hoping that this work helps keep them from corroding or rusting, oxidizing, or, just mitigate a lot of the negative effects that you'll have from having a bike out in the open for a long road trip with salty roads. I hope this was a little bit entertaining. I hope you maybe learned something. Actually, I'd be interested to know if there's anything you do with your bike to make sure that it doesn't get eaten alive by salt, especially commuting. I used to do a lot of commuting. I don't have to do that anymore. I basically did this to my bikes, but they could always live inside and I could always clean them. So it was they always lasted pretty decent. I don't know. What do you do if that's not what you can do? Oh, by the way, my training is still going really well. I've not had anything else interesting to say in a video, so I haven't been keeping you up to date. I haven't missed a day.